Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I don't know where to begin. I can say this since I've been hearing quite a bit of football talk in here. I'm going to consider myself to be an expert in the field. And so the only opinion that matters on that subject is mine. So here's the deal. Wade, I cannot believe what's happened.
Don't say nothing negative now.
Don't say it. I know it. You know, my Yellow Jackets, I know, Lee, Lee, our Yellow Jackets are paired up with the Mississippi State Bulldogs, in the Orange Bowl.
I don't know what our friendship's going to look like.
I have no idea, Wade. I have no idea. Is it real? We're going to fake it? What are we going to do?
That lake house is going to be hard for you to stay at. If it goes the wrong way, it ain't going to be a pleasant.
It ain't going to be a Well, here's a little bit of good news for you, Wade. I will say this, Mississippi State, my daughter's got that school on her list. It's her #1 school to attend. And so I asked her just yesterday, and she called me, Daddy, you won't believe it. Georgia Tech's playing Mississippi State. And I said, are you serious? I had not known what the reality was. And she told me that. And I said, wow, I don't know what I'm going to do. She said, well, I don't know what you're going to do. She says, but, I can't lose. She said, it's a win-win for me. Unbelievable. It'll be a ton of fun, I know. And certainly Auburn seems to have ties to all of these programs in some capacity, whether it's Mississippi State and Mr. Parker and his family, and the defensive coordinator for Mississippi State's a real dear friend of mine. To Keith Little here, Keith is an Auburn Tiger, and my wife's an Auburn graduate. From there, so I have no choice but to be an Auburn fan. And of course, I heard Alabama. Didn't I hear Alabama? Roll Tide, roll, huh? I've got a lot of folks. Miss Holly Phillips, okay, is an Alabama graduate. You heard mentioned earlier this morning, a part of the One Life executive team, and certainly Lee Murray here, his son, who works overseas, Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, corporate, is an Alabama graduate and a friend of my family. So we cheer a little bit for everybody, to be completely honest with you. We even love Ohio State. Had to throw that one out there. Anyway, fun stuff. That athletics and football stuff is so much fun, and I can go 1,000 years talking about all of my personal encounters, and certainly I know we're all fans of some sport, whether it's high school, middle school, elementary. We have kids that have played, whether we have daughters that cheer or are involved in some type of school club. It's always neat to engage those experiences, and nothing like those things that bring people close together. It doesn't matter who you are and where you're from, they tend to touch us all. But nonetheless, Lee, also I heard you talk about your 3 F's you made. Dang it, Lee. I mean, he's a smart guy. I can't even say it. What is it?
Aeronautical engineering.
Aeronautical engineering. Next time you're up, you need to tell us a little bit more about what that is.
I never figured it out.
You never figured it out? That's why you stopped making it. Okay. Well, I can tell you, there are places where 3 F's are good. Okay? First of all, the F that's really good in one particular place is in faith. Okay, and you heard your CEO come up, Scott Elliott came up and spoke a little bit about devotion and really with unapologetic faith talk about the importance of the One Life brand and its important value system. And it starts with faith. And I believe, if you're just not a real smart person if you start your day without it. I believe that's personal. But I appreciate that F. I do. I tell my kids all the time, I don't mind you making an F as long as these 3. So faith is one, family is the other. And the thing you'll find at One Life is that this is an incredible family unbelievable culture of closeness and people who really care for one another. And as Scotty mentioned a moment ago, who will walk with integrity and character and look you right in the face with honesty and communicate to you what the One Life brand is and its expectations and their care for you. That's incredible. You don't get that every day. How often do you get a CEO come up and start out talking about faith? You just don't see that in the corporate setting very often. That's very, very impressive to me. And I think the other F is final expense. How about that one, huh? How about that one? We are masters in these three F's, y'all. I'm telling you now. And there's no one that does final expense quite like One Life. There's no one that is as diversified and that provides, these incredible extensions that make what you do in this field second to none in this industry. And you're going to hear a whole lot more about the final expense piece and all of its mechanics as we go forward with some of the most impressive executive team you will ever get to be around and be a part of. And it's all because of you. Number one, you set the pace for all of this. There's absolutely no question about it. So there are those three F's. There's faith, there's family, and there's final expense. And anytime you're making those three F's, you get a thumbs up from me. There you go. It's a good deal. Absolutely. But what I really want to do is, if you'll indulge me just for a few moments, I'm going to quickly go through what I want to share with you in detail. And I just want to simply call it having the advantages, okay? Just simply having the advantages. Very, very important to note. I grew up in South Georgia. And I was somehow, through amazing circumstances, I had a passion and desire to participate in athletics. I was a fairly pretty good student as well, but I really wanted to be in sports, and I did not have the skill set on day one. Okay? It's okay not to be really good at something on day one. Give me till day 5, though. We'll fix that, And I didn't have the skill set. And so it was interesting as I got to high school, I got involved in sports, and I wasn't first stringer, I wasn't second stringer, I wasn't even third stringer. I was kind of on the team, and I was out there, and my mom told me, and the people in the community said, it built good character, it'll keep you out of trouble, if you will, and it'll develop some things about you that, otherwise you may not be exposed to. And so, lo and behold, I began to watch the guys who did have the great talent. Big, fast, strong, athletic people, and I envied that. I wanted that, and I felt that they had an advantage on me. I don't want to be at a disadvantage. I don't know about you. I don't want to be at a disadvantage in nothing. I want to have an advantage, an edge, and sometimes I keep it a secret too on how I've gotten that advantage. But this was no secret because I knew that if I wanted to play sports, and they would often talk about these players, much like some companies spoken about because of their great achievement, where they stand in the industry. Well, they have some advantages that are unique to their culture and to their industry. And I know in sports, I wanted to have those advantages. How could that guy run like that? What makes him capable of catching a ball the way he catches it? What makes him, everyone speaks about his athletic skills. I didn't have those skills, and I was at a serious disadvantage. So I decided I'd do something about that. I decided that I no longer wanted to be at a disadvantage, and I wanted to be in an advantageous place, And you can either do one or two things. You can discover that you're at a disadvantage and stay there, or you can recognize you are and change it. That's what I wanted to do. And so what I did, I began to do the things that probably a lot of people didn't want to do. I started lifting weights and running and getting up early in the morning and going home late at night. And I used to walk 3 miles to a gym. And I used to skip from porch to porch when it was pouring down raining. And the people in the community used to see me, and I was young. I was a 9th grader. And then I started lifting and I started walking. I used to get, 50 cents and 75 cents from my mom to catch a bus, from the gym to my home. And then there were days that I would walk through the sun, walk through the winter, walk through the spring. And one day I'm walking, it was 3 years later, and the same people that live in this community would see me walking through, and they say, "My God, you're getting bigger." Oh, something started happening. I used to skip from porch to porch when it rained. They just let me stand on that porch while the rain would fall, then I'd go into the gym. And over time, I began to get bigger, stronger, faster. And the disadvantages became an advantage. Because now those people that I envied, that I wished and hoped that I could be like, I was one of them. And it wasn't because I was born with it. It was because I decided to change it. It wasn't a born with advantage. No, I can sit and tell you here, everything I accomplished in sports wasn't given to me. I earned it. Everything I ever achieved in athletics wasn't the result of someone that rolled out of the bed and can run 4.35 in the 40. The first time I ran the 40, I ran a 4.71. The next time I ran it in 4.29. That was because I was able to develop what you call a lot of quick twitch muscles and lift a whole lot of weights and drink a whole lot of milk and eat a whole lot of Cheerios. And as a result of that, I didn't no longer want to be at a disadvantage. Because it's not fun being at a disadvantage. It just isn't. And sometimes you don't have the privilege of knowing why you're at a disadvantage. But you're just not making hay. And so I had to do some research and figure those things out. And so my disadvantages became my advantages. And so I want to give you two categories, but I also want to make this an interactive session, and I'll be done in about 15 minutes. Two areas. I want you to be able to recognize advantages and then be able to maximize advantages. Really important to be able to do those two things. To recognize advantages and then to be able to maximize advantages. Very, very important to be able to recognize an advantage when you hear one, when you see one, when you're around one, when you know one. It's an advantage. And you're quite unintelligent if you can't recognize one. It's so important to be able to recognize an advantage comparably to something you may or may not have or exposed to now. Is this the best, or is there anything better? Or am I content? Am I satisfied? Does this just expose me to one entity, or does it expose me to a corporate entity? And being able to then weigh whether or not that's an advantage or a disadvantage, but then to be able to maximize that advantage also. To be able to get as much out of that advantage as you possibly can. So at the end of the day, you've left nothing for question. So be able to recognize advantages, but be able to maximize advantages. And then I want to give you three precursors to that also. Three precursors to it. And this is a little interactive. I want to ask you this question. Have you looked at your portfolio lately? Can we dialogue with that a little bit? Raise your hand if you've looked at your portfolio lately and tell me what you think about it. Here, I saw your hand first.
Not nice.
Yours is pretty nice. I like that. That's good. That's a great one. I love that. You don't care if they expound on it, but it's really nice. Someone else, Adam?
You talking about all the carriers that we have to work with?
Whole deal.
I mean, what more could I ask for? We have everything.
Your own personal portfolio.
That's nobody's business.
Nobody's business. I saw someone else. Who else? Anyone else? Your portfolio. What is it? Does it look good?
I like it.
You like it? Okay, you like it? Is there anyone that's not satisfied with theirs? Here? Tell me why.
The opportunities to change what I don't like about it.
Wow. Thank you for being transparent. Hey, we all have a portfolio in this room, and you either like it or you don't. Or you want to change it and you don't know how, or you want to change it and you do know how, and now it requires the knowledge and courage and the things that are necessary to do it, okay? But we're always assessing and looking at our portfolio. And I would say, and that was sort of off of the second question, is that are you well invested? Anyone want to answer that question? You think you're well invested?
Yes.
Adam?
Yeah.
You think you're well invested?
Like all in leads, so yeah, I wouldn't want it any other way.
You wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, that's my portfolio. All in leads.
All in leads, and that's where you're convinced you're invested. Anyone else? Scott?
I'm all invested in the One Life opportunity and have been for 15 years.
Wow.
100%.
All invested in the One Life opportunity, has been doing it for multiple years. Anyone else that thinks they're sort of well invested, they're almost well invested or not well invested at all, either currently where you are or in some other place you desire to be? Anyone? Everybody's well invested? Nope. Okay, there we go. I think right here, tell me.
Hey, no, it's not good at all, so. Not invested good at all, so.
Not invested good at all.
At the moment. It's changing.
At the moment it's changing. That's Yes, listen, I want to be transparent here. This is really good to be transparent and open here. Because here's the thing. I grew up, and this, I don't just make everything about monetary things, but capital is not a bad deal, okay? It's not bad to have wealth and income and all of those things. There are great purposes and usages for those things. My mom taught me a lot of lessons about money when I was growing up. I learned the most important lesson. I didn't have any. That's the first thing. So I didn't know what it was about, you know. So the bottom line, I said, well, my portfolio don't look very good. So how am I going to change it? And even as a youngster, my mom would always tell me, Derrick, always make good choices. You know, she would also say, always invest heavily in your education. She would also make certain that as you get older, build a network of people around you. Be good to the people that you meet. Build great relationships. Burn no bridges. She would often tell me those things. And as a result of that, she said, here's the thing. If you have some of those qualities, you'll never have to chase money. Money will chase you. Money will chase you. Scotty, pardon me if I'm out of line. I don't want to get fired. But I'll say this. When I recognized and maximized my advantages, I never put out a resume for a job. The job came looking for me. Y'all get that? I think that's apropos, and I certainly think that exists. I truly believe that. I truly believe that. And so it's important as we're going through these three, and there's one more I want to give you. Are you invested in the best opportunity? Are you invested? Adam, go start it out again. Adam, are you invested in the, now I'm going to ask you this, Adam. Is there a better opportunity? Because here's the deal. If there's a better opportunity, I need you to leave.
I've been looking for 10 years for something like this. I think it's impossible to find anything else.
Wow. You know, I didn't coach you into that. I don't think we ever met or anything.
I'll take the 20 after.
You'll take the 20 after. 20 after, you rascal. I tell you what. Oh, man. I thought you would. But nonetheless, he's not coached into that, because I think, you know, the impact of one life is an amazing experience. And what I'm talking about here is the entire sales experience, not just one thing. Okay? Not just one thing, but I'm talking about an entire culture. Chris?
I was just going to say that I started out with one life, got off track, got some things that got way off track. And but the opportunity, when I worked it, it was one of the great. I thought this is the greatest system. I just let everything. It was awesome.
Wow.
But I got off track with some personal things.
Wow.
I got it.
And you're back.
I'm back.
Wow. So listen, I want to hear a couple of more interactive opportunities, because here's the deal. We're going to talk about maximizing your opportunity, not just getting some of it. You know, I've never been the type of guy that just believed in getting some of it. If all of it was there for the taking, you know how much I wanted? All of it. Sorry. All mine. You better get yours. I want to maximize that opportunity, and I want all of it. I don't want some of it. And I think sometimes we get content and we get satisfied too easily, because sometimes getting all of it requires too much of us. You know, it really, you don't become, KT, can I embarrass you for a moment?
Sure.
Or maybe Scotty, can you tell us a little bit about some of KT's work?
Sure.
You mind just elaborating on some of his production, his successes, and give me a little bit of few snapshots of that?
You just celebrated your year anniversary within this past month, right?
November 20th.
November 20th. And KT's from Baltimore, Maryland. And I remember the first time we talked on the phone. I remember it vividly. And you were in the, I guess, the position of you were searching for the opportunity. And through our discussions, you recognized the opportunity and made the commitment, and your body of work speaks for itself. I think you're right on track for possibly a big Founders Club be a $300,000, agent his first year, but more than that, he's on the agency building path and sees something that transcends just himself, and it's certainly not been without its challenges, but you made a commitment and you maximized that opportunity. He's been fully invested.
Oh, wow. That's big. Give him a hand. I think it makes sense. So if we've got two areas that we want to look at, recognizing advantages, maximizing advantages, but then we've got three precursors to that. You need to know and look at your portfolio and be honest with what you see. Be completely honest with what you see. Are you satisfied, content with where you are? And if you are, that's good. If you're not, this is a great place to be. It really, really is. You're going to hear a ton more about that very thing. Are you well invested? Are you sort of well invested and you're not truly well invested? Be honest with who you are and where you are and what you've attained. What more can you gain as a result? And then lastly, are you invested in the best opportunity? Because if there's another opportunity, we want to take a very good look at what that opportunity is, okay? And how can I be invested in that particular opportunity? So we've got these two areas and then we've got these three precursors, and then I want to give you one actuality. Okay, one actuality and I'll be done. One actuality, and here it is. Should I diversify myself or consider more innovative efforts moving forward, which involves the entire sales experience and or a better sales experience? Because I think what we're going to hear the rest of these couple of days is really the entire sales experience that is One Life America. And as a result of that, I think it's so important to really put oneself on the anvil and really talk about your long-term, intermediate, and short-term goals and think through just how and why you want this to go a certain way as you engage this opportunity and then begin to maximize it. So that actuality, once again, is should I diversify or consider more innovative efforts moving forward, which involves the entire sales experience and or a better sales experience going forward. And I just think it's so important to consider that and weighing really the opportunities that you hold in your hand now comparably to those that you can hold in your hand going forward. And then what can you leverage as a result of partnering and being a part of the One Life brand going forward as well. So it's very, very critical to understand that. I'll give you one example of when I played in the NFL, and I'll close with this. I played with a guy named Barry Sanders. And Barry Sanders had some advantages. Wow. Boy, did he have some. If you're familiar with football, athletics, and these players, he had some advantages. He certainly did. I mean, he could do things that, would marvel you, would absolutely blow your mind so far as an athletic skill set was concerned. He was a quality person as well, still is to this day. But I've seen him make runs that defy logic, if you will. It just does not compute. And I've seen, I don't know, and I don't say these things, I won't tell my story about the kid, but I will say I've watched a lot of running backs over the years, and when you've seen Barry Sanders, it's hard to be impressed with anybody else. I mean, it just is. And to see him in practice or in person play the game, really you get a chance to see the advantages that he had. And so when I got to the Lions, one thing I knew is that, what advantages did I have? What could I do? I could copy him and mimic him. I'll be a poor impression of him, I can tell you that. But I began to look at my own portfolio, and I said, here's some things that I can do. And so it was unique in Detroit that Barry Sanders struggled in what we call the red zone. You get inside the 20, the field gets condensed. Barry Sanders is what you call a space killer. He gets you in space, and he can do the one thing you can't do. He can stop and start faster than you can. And what he does is he brings you to a complete stop, and he starts up, but here's the unique thing about it. He can start in any direction, and he would put you in a box and limit your skill set and your ability to be able to go in any direction possible. He had a unique skill set that was impressive, but he had trouble in the red zone, short yardage and goal line situations because he wanted to dance on you. Barry was the greatest dancer I've ever seen. Me, on the other hand, I had two left feet. I couldn't dance, so I just thought I'll run all over you, step on your feet and get to where I'm trying to go. And so lo and behold, they would give me the ball in short yardage, red zone, goal line situations. That was my advantage. And if I was going to play in Detroit, I had to maximize that advantage every opportunity that I got, because Barry Sanders struggled in that. So we took him out of the game, put me in the game. The crowd would boo, and when they first saw me go in the game, oh yeah, they were booing and they were crying. I was hoping you missed that. First time I went in the ball game, I mean, they looked at me. First time we ever did it. Here comes the greatest running back in the world coming out of the ball game, and here comes this no-name nobody going in the replay, booing. Boo! What are you doing? Boo! Boo! But here's what they didn't know. They didn't know I had an advantage that Barry didn't have. He was still Barry Sanders, the great Barry Sanders, but here's the proposition. If I don't get that ball in the end zone, let me tell you something, folks. As a matter of fact, Scott Mitchell is in the huddle. He was our quarterback at the time. And the first time I came in, we had practiced this all week. First time the Lions are going to introduce it. I'm in the huddle, Lee, and Scott is right there looking at me. And he's getting ready to call it for me. He said, hey, guys, we going 36 blasts. He looked at me and said, Demo, they call me Demo. Demo, you better get that ball in the end zone or you're never going to get that shot again. I'm sitting here. It's 80,000 people. I'm replacing the greatest back in the world. You think I can get a little bit more encouragement? You gotta be kidding me. Thank you. No pressure here, And sure enough, though, we succeeded. Gave me the ball, I blasted it in the end zone. And then it was interesting. I'm leaving off the field and I'm like this. No boos, yeah! Fans are fickle anyway, we cheer when we cheer, we boo when we boo, man. That's the way it goes. But I want to close by just saying, maximize your advantages, certainly recognize those advantages. Remember those three precursors, and always be evaluating that portfolio, but certainly be able to consider, what's going to further my efforts and give me the greatest results possible in the industry that I've chosen to endeavor upon. Because this is what the Academy is about, as you are further exposed to the things that make one life and the successes that are already yours, but those greater successes that can be yours. So I ask you and I challenge you to be daring and to certainly have your ears completely open. This is just the beginning of just some of the most exceptional experiences you're going to have over these couple of days. Thank you very much for having me.